Welcome to the Strategic Management Accounting course, where we teach the value-adding steps and processes necessary to execute strategy. Whether you are just starting up or looking to grow your business, then this course is for you. With your host, Dr. Neil O'Connor.
In the next section, we're going to look at our first example of competing on time. There is customer response time and there is on-time performance. How long it takes from the time a customer places an order for the product and service to be delivered to the customer. And then we have on-time performance, delivering a product or service by the time it was scheduled to be delivered. And here we have the total framework of time. So we have receipt time, we have manufacturing cycle time, then we have delivery time. And that's the total customer response time, as I explained in the strategy framework earlier. A time driver is any factor in which a change in the factor causes a change in the speed of the activity. Okay, so there are two time drivers. Number one is the uncertainty about when customers will order products and services. As I mentioned earlier, the demand from the customer. Some days is up, some days it's down. Yes. Bottlenecks due to limited capacity. Maybe one of your workers is off sick. No one could have predicted that. And so that becomes a bottleneck in your operations just for that day. Or maybe you have a machine that is continuously breaking down. That becomes a bottleneck. Okay, so it could be bottlenecks, could be human. Bottlenecks can be machines. A bottleneck occurs in an operation when the work to be performed approaches or exceeds the capacity available to it. So let's have a look at a great example. Waiting time in banks. You all know banks. And you all go electronic teller machines, you know, because you do not like waiting in banks. So we have a Regal Bank. It's a small branch in Orilla, Canada. And the counter is staffed by one teller. I can't believe it. It's open for 5 hours, 300 minutes. That's 5 times 60 minutes each day. And that's the operating capacity. It takes 5 minutes to serve a customer, service time. And the Orilla branch expects to serve 30 customers per day. And the Orilla branch expects to serve 40 customers each day. Well, 40 customers, and I'm thinking 5 minutes each, 40 times 5. So that's 200 minutes. And we've got 300 minutes of capacity. So I think that there's 100 minutes left over. And so I think we can handle that, right? But it's a little bit more complicated than that, all right? So we know they've got more capacity than the total time needed to serve, okay? But we're assuming customers come in at a regular rate, okay? Let's make that assumption here. But there is a formula for working out what is the average time each customer is going to be waiting. So let's have a look at this exercise, waiting time in banks. And let's go over some of the questions that we may have for any particular bank. So we want to calculate how long on average a customer will wait in line before being served. Okay. We want to calculate how long on average a customer will wait in line if the branch expects to serve 50 customers per day. Now at the moment the branch is serving 40 customers per day. So we may want to have this question that management want to know the answer to. The bank is considering ways to reduce waiting time. How long will customers have to wait on average if the time to serve the customer is reduced to 4 minutes and the bank expects to serve 50 customers per day? So maybe there are 3 things going on here. Number one, how long it takes to serve a customer. Number 2, how many customers you serve each day. And also, what is the waiting time? And so if we want to reduce one, that is a 4-minute serving, it takes to serve a customer. Why? Because you train better people and you put them on the counter to serve the customer so they can serve the customer very, very fast. What's your name? Okay, give me your money, give me your card. Okay, there you go. Next. You understand what I mean, don't you? All right. So Whereas a new teller that's starting is going to be very, very slow. All right. So maybe you are confident that you can have a teller that can do 4 minutes. So you want to know, okay, so we forecast more customers going to come. What is the waiting time? Will it be reduced? The big decision here is, well, do we need to put in 2 tellers if our growth in customers is going to go from 40 to 50 to 60 to 70 in the next 12 months? And so this may help you to forecast future capacity needs, either in terms of the number of tellers or in terms of the training of the tellers. So the tellers go more efficiently, and so then they can reduce the time to serve each customer from 5 minutes down to 4 minutes. These are decisions that you may be thinking about when we're trying to do these calculations. And these are real decisions that banks have to make in terms of matching their service capacity with the customer expectations. So let's have a look at some of these calculations. So number 1 is the branch expects to receive 40 customers a day. It takes 5 minutes to serve a customer. The average time that customer will wait in line before being served is as follows. It's going to be the average number of customers, the time taken to serve a customer. Now remember, we're going to square this. And we're going to take this amount, and that's going to be part of the denominator too, because there it is down here. All right. All right. So the average number of customers is 40 customers. The time taken to serve a customer is 5 minutes. And so that's where we get the 40 times 5, but it's 40 times 5 squared. So the time taken to serve a customer is 5 minutes squared is 25 times 40. What does that give us? Okay, 40 times 25 is 1,000. Okay, then we take part of the denominator is the time taken to serve a customer multiplied by the average number of customers. And so that gives us 40 times 5, that gives us 200. And then we have the available time the counter is open, which is 300 minutes. Okay, and we multiply that by 2. Now, the reason why we multiply it by 2, because we're looking for an average time. And so before we looked at this formula, remember, we have capacity, 300 minutes. Our total serving time is 200. We're 100 excess. But really, on average over the day, we want to double that and create that as a denominator to find out on average, if customers come in at the same intervals, how much time will each customer wait for? And so we need to divide 1,000, which is the numerator, by this 200, and that gives us 5 minutes. So on average, when customers come in, they're going to have to wait for 5 minutes before being served, which will take 5 minutes. Now let's have a look at this formula applied to the next question. If a branch expects to receive 50 customers a day, that means we're going from 40 up to 50, and the time taken to serve a customer is 5 minutes. The average time that a customer will wait in line before being served is going to be longer or shorter. There's more customers now. This is like going into the bank on Friday. There's more customers there. Okay, and the time taken is the same. All right, so you're going to have to wait longer, right? It's going to take longer than 5 minutes. So basically, we're going to be expanding definitely the denominator and the numerator, but the numerator is going to expand by even more. And so we're going to have more than 5 minutes. So let's have a look at the calculations. So we have 5 minutes in terms of serving time multiplied by 5, so that's 5 squared, times 50 a day. And so that's 25 times 50 to give us 1,250. Now we're going to divide that by our capacity. All right, so now we've got 50 times 5. Now we've only got 50 minutes buffer between our total serving time minus the 50 customers at 5 minutes each. And so we've got 50 times 2 is 100. And so now the average serving time is 12.5 minutes. It's gone from 5 minutes to 12.5 minutes. How can that be? Well, our customers have increased by 25%. Okay, so the average serving time has stayed the same at 5 minutes, but the average waiting time has basically gone up exponentially. Okay, let's have a look at the next question. If the branch expects to serve 50 customers each day, okay, we've got 50 now, we're growing, that's good news, and the time taken to serve a customer is 4 minutes. Wow, we've got our new teller on, or maybe we're 1 year in and this teller that took 5 minutes is now 4 minutes. They get to the point faster. Hey, what would you like? Okay, give me your card. Okay, how much money you want? Okay, sign this, bang. All right, next. Mr. Teller, I'm a person here. I'm not a machine. Please don't treat me like a machine. I'm sorry, we've got to serve 50 customers today. All right, so you understand what it's like. We got to reduce it down to 4 minutes. We may depersonalize the whole experience, just get to the point. So we're down to 4 minutes now, not 5 minutes before. Okay, so 50 customers at 4 minutes each. So that's 200 minutes of serving time. We've got 300 minutes of capacity. We're back to where we were before. But is the waiting time the same? It may be a little bit different. So let's have a look at the calculation, shall we? So we have 50 and 4 minutes serving time, which is squared to give us 16, multiplied by 50 customers. So therefore we get 50 times 16, which is, yeah, you got it. It's 800. You know 800, okay? And what about for the denominator? We have 50 customers at 4 minutes, and that's basically the total serving time. We have total capacity of 300 minutes, so we've got a buffer of 100 minutes multiplied by 2, and so we divide 800 by 200 and we get 4 minutes. Wow, that's a big improvement. So what can we do with this calculation? Well, that may tell us that that may tell us about the importance of, number one, training the teller, training the customer service officer. Okay, the better trained they are, then they can reduce the serving time from 5 minutes down to 4 minutes. It may tell us about the need to have a second teller on Fridays, on Thursdays, because that's when our daily customers go from 40 customers up to 50 customers, or up to 60 customers on Saturday morning. You get the point here. So it helps you to think about capacity, given that you have some trends in demand, days of the week, months of the year, okay, over time. And there's a growth factor in there too. So you can start to plan capacity, plan the training, or plan technology that can help make that service provided to be more efficient without cutting back on the service feeling received by the customer. So there we have the first example where we're calculating waiting time. We're based on different scenarios of capacity, based on different scenarios of demand, which was two parts of here. So capacity is down here, the big C, and the demand was the big D here. But we've really focused on this area here because all our calculations were really focused on about, okay, how can we change capacity based on the demand so that we can fit within any promise that we're making on the service. So we promise you that you're only going to wait for 4 minutes. If there are 50 customers, then each customer service officer must take on average no more than 4 minutes. 4 minutes serving each customer. You see that? So that was the first type of calculation in part one. So I hope you get some sense of what type of decisions that we can make with these calculations. We're trading off the demand, how many customers. We're trading off their expectations, a particular service standard, how long they have to wait for. And we're trading off the capacity. What is the capability of serving that customer? Are we fast? Are we slow? Do we have a novice person serving? Or do we have a well-trained person serving? Can we use technology for that? And so it's about balancing those three parts, all right? The demand, number of customers, their expectations, which is associated with your service standard, and the capacity that you have. What's that capacity? That is how many people are serving. How well trained are they? These three things is what we did the first calculation of. In part 2, we're going to look at managing the capacity side, the bottleneck side, okay? Assuming that we're not changing our standards on this level here, that is the customer, number of customers or their demands, and their expectations for how fast, how timely they want that demand. We're focusing on the bottleneck here and how we can better manage the bottleneck, and we look at theory of constraints. So please come back in part 2. We'll look at an example where we apply theory of constraints to this three-pronged problem, and catch you in the next session. Thank you for watching. Bye for now.